Welcome to day 30 of 30 Days of SPECTRE. I can't believe it's the last day.
I know. Are you all right? You're going to be okay.
I think so. My name is Tom. No, it's not. It's Chris. My name is Chris Wright, and with me is my good mate, Mr. Tom Sears. How are you, Tom?
I'm all right, mate. I'm doing better than you by the looks of things. Don't cry. It'll be all right. We'll be back soon.
Okay. Will we?
Yeah, we'll be back soon. Don't worry. It's all right.
Okay. If you've promised me,
mate. Would I let you down? I couldn't let you sit in that little attic room of yours on your own all day every week. I couldn't let that happen. Of course.
Okay, man. Thank you.
All
okay,
right,
in that
nice.
case, I feel better now. But, yeah. Last day.
We bloody made it. The people doubted us, didn't they? Well, they didn't really doubt us.
Well, I doubted us.
I sort of did, and I thought, I wonder whether we'll actually make it. And here we are, 30 days in, and we've bloody done it. We need some Rocky Balboa style, like sort of champion music, don't we?
I think so. And I've actually got tears in my eyes. I think this method acting shit is going downtown.
Very nice. He's after Daniel's job, look.
Yeah, too right. I mean, I suppose just a brief overview. It's been pretty epic, hasn't it? Like, obviously, last 29 days, just covering loads of the film in terms of loads of the scenes, the characters. I think the interviews went down really well. We had quite a good range. I think we've had a lot of good responses to the interviews we did as well, so that was great. But really looking forward to today. Like, just I haven't heard them, but I can't just wait to just listen to them reeled off one after another. I'm really looking forward to that. So it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. So when I edited it together, I basically just downloaded all the voicemails as they kind of came in, dragged them into a folder, and then sort of stuck them in one by one as I'm kind of sewing them all together into one episode. So I was listening to them all, pretty much all of them, for the first time as I was kind of editing through, kind of thing. And there seems to be a nice mix of kind of thoughts and some intriguing little ideas kind of thrown in. Over 50 reviews come in to listen to today. Wow. I think the final number's 54 or 55, something like that. So just over an hour of Bond banter, talking all about Spectre, and like I say, so like a real sort of cross section of views as well. So it's going to be interesting to get stuck into for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. In fact, speaking of reviews, so it's not really a review, but my sister and my brother-in-law went to watch Spectre for the first time last night. So obviously when they came back, it was a late showing. So I think I stayed up until gone midnight anyway, just so I could get the older, the reviews when I got back. And both of them really enjoyed it, actually. They both thought it was a really good film. Obviously, the highlights being similar things that we've been mentioned, like the pre-titles and stuff like that. My sister wasn't keen on Madeline Swan, on the character Madeline Swan. She didn't like that at all.
Really?
Whereas my brother-in-law thought he was down with it. He thought it was okay.
I'm sure he was.
And I asked him questions about, the tricky stuff about neither of them were actually keen on the torture scene, to be honest.
Okay.
But none of them had a problem with the half, with the not half brother, obviously, with the whole foster thing, and they took it that it was only 2 months over 2 years, nothing else, and that if Bond would never crossed over the path that he has done recently, Blofeld would have been exactly the same no matter what. So the whole family thing wasn't an issue with either of them. So I thought that was quite interesting. For for the non-Bond fan community to have their sort of point of view. But yeah, overall they really enjoyed it. So I thought that was quite cool. I was quite pleased.
Very nice. So what was it like for your sister, sort of growing up with you as her brother, being a Bond freak? Like how knowledgeable is she of Bond? Is she sort of like a sort of, does she have a decent level of knowledge purely that sort of bled through you into her brain over the years, or what?
I'd imagine to a certain extent, yeah. I think she's definitely seen them all at least once. I know that. Probably seen a few of them, a few times. She loves Casino Royale. I think that's probably her favourite, or at least her favourite recent one anyway. So I'd say she'd have for your normal person in the street, she'd have a pretty decent general knowledge, but I definitely wouldn't say you'd class her as Bond fan sort of
interesting.
But yeah, not bad. Enough to be proud.
Yeah, good.
which is always a good thing. So that was really cool. So I remember I asked you one of the recent podcasts, and I said, Tom, if you ever got a chance to read a James Bond script for a future film before it came out, would you do it? Obviously, there was an opportunity, kind of a Spectre. Obviously, we didn't go for it. I said that to you, and what was your answer?
Absolutely not. I would be tempted. There'd be like a little evil part of my brain that would be like, go on and just have a little look. Just go on. We'll just read the first page. Just go on. But I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I did. And I know it would be like being a kid and opening your presents before Christmas morning. It would totally spoil the experience. And I just could not do it.
Would you even look at the title or not? Oh, I suppose that you might already know.
If I already knew the title, I would. But do you know what? I got so much enjoyment out of the Spectre reveal last year, as is evidenced on YouTube, that I'd have been gutted to have had that spoiled, because that special magic moment when the words just started building on the screen, and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I thought I was imagining it for a little while because I wanted it so bad, and there it was. So yeah, I absolutely not. I couldn't do it.
Okay, so now here's the curveball. You receive a Bond 25 script prior to release, but there's a little note saying, "Dear Mr. Tom Sears, we've been listening to James Bond Radio, and Eon Productions has given you this script because we would like to hear your feedback prior to release of the film." So you've now got the script for Bond 25, but you know that you can give feedback on the script to the writers, the directors, and the producers, and that could potentially be taken into account in how it's sort of in the final draft. Now, would you do that or not?
I think that changes everything. I really do. I think if that was the case, I would be duty bound, purely based on the amount of joy that Bond has given me over the years, and all of those films have given me all of those over the years. I feel that would be my chance to sort of like, in some very small way, pay them back for it. And I would feel I would have to. But that is the ultimate question. If they said to you, Chris, do you want to direct the next Bond film? It would be a dream come true. But part of me would be like, I want to go and watch the next Bond film. I don't want to. Do you know what I mean? It's a very difficult one, that actually. Yeah. What do you think?
And there'd also be a shitload of pressure as well, don't forget. A huge amount. Personally, I would definitely do it 100%. It would just be, I just would say yes straight away, because, you know, well, Barbara did actually email. I was going to tell you off the podcast, but now you're on.
If only.
If only. No, I think that opportunity is completely different. Reading a script, I wouldn't want to do it prior to watching the film, but if you had the opportunity to influence it and you know, perhaps tweak it, and even if there was like just 2 scenes where they had a little bit of your input, every single time you watch that Bond film, you're like, I did that, that was me, and that was mine. Yeah. And it's like, you'd get so much enjoyment out of that. Maybe everyone that was watching the film with you probably wouldn't, because you'd be chewing your ear off, but I think that would be amazing. So I think in that circumstance, that is the only situation where I would read the script.
You're absolutely right. Look, at the end of the day, you know, Purvis and Wade, they didn't even want to work on Spectre, but they were brought back in. If the call went out and they were like, right, we need a new Purvis and Wade, let's get Sears and Wright, or Wright and Sears, whichever one sounds better. Let's get them and draft them in and get them stuck into the Bond 25 script. It would be too irresistible. Yeah. It would be too irresistible. You'd have to. But there would still be that part of me that would be like, man, I just kind of want to go in blind and not know anything. Do you know what I mean? As silly as that sounds, there would still be that part of me. But yeah, I think for most people would agree with that. It would just be too irresistible to actually be able to influence in some way. I mean, it's going back to Sid Mann, isn't it? And the fact that there he is in Skyfall and Spectre, and he can look at that and look back on it forever. And he's immortalized in a Bond film. Yeah.
In 2.
In 2, obviously. Hopefully more. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is pretty special. So I thought that was an interesting sort of way to look at it. Now I remember we were talking about sort of classic Bond scenes and stuff which they've brought back, which have, you know, majority of his work has been great. And we were talking about certain scenes which we'll never ever be able to see again just because it's the wrong time. One of those was the hat toss scene, which I remember you mentioned. Now, I cannot remember who the JBR listener is, but whoever it is, I apologise because this is brilliant. But what do you think if Bond 25, plays out similar to some of the ideas we've had? You get the pre-title sequence. Bond. We're going through the mission, 3/4 away through Bond 25, or perhaps even at the end of Bond 25, Blofeld gets away, but the main showdown is Bond and Hinks. Okay. Now they're having the massive battle, right? This is going to be train scene fight times a million.
Right.
But in the end, obviously, Bond overcomes Mr. Hinks. The final scene we have is an M scene. And just prior to that, Moneypenny doors open and Hinks's flat cap flicks through the door and lands on the hat stand.
Do you know what, man? I'm bang up for a big Bond cliffhanger at the end of one of the films. I sort of had a feeling we might get that with this one, but we didn't. Because at the end of the day, aside from the end of Majesties, have we ever had that like moment at the end of a Bond film where you're like, oh my God, what's about to happen? And then you just have to wait 2 or 3 years to find out. I would be well up for that. I would be so up for that sort of like moment where you just totally out of curveball, something that happens at the end that just, it's not Bond in an orange dinghy in the middle of the ocean. Something happens that's like shit hits the fan at the very last second. Then it rolls to credits. And then you're like, whoa, I'm all up for that, man. That's a good idea. Yeah. I like that a lot.
I think it'll be cool. And it's bringing the hat toss back in a different way as well, which I thought was pretty clever. So there's another potential Bond 25 thing. Now, the only other thing I was going to say, again, in relation to Bond 25, is that we had another listener who had an idea, which I don't think would ever work, but I think it's worth mentioning anyway. Now, he was talking about how Bond in the novels, sometimes obviously we had the short stories. Fiore's only obviously, collection of different things. And he thought, what if we had a Bond film, Bond 25 perhaps, that rather than as a film is almost a collection of Bond scenes which might not necessarily be related. So he's working on this.
Was this the guy that was talking about it as if it was Pulp Fiction style-y?
Yes. So there are two ways of doing it. They could be one where you see him doing something, suddenly he's doing something else, and you're like, well, how is that connected? And there's obviously this maybe a time lapse or, a time manipulation or something like that. And then you find out they're all connected. Now that is really sort of, outside the box in terms of what we've had before. And initially I was like, I don't think that would ever work. And even now, I think creatively it'd be an interesting sort of test. But I think that's probably a step sort of too wild.
Basically, if I remember right, he was kind of suggesting like a collection of short stories that somehow cross paths, not unlike Pulp Fiction is, where you've got scenes that happen maybe before and after, and Vincent Vega shows up in different ones and they all sort of meet at various points. I think that's such an unusual thing. To carry that off is a huge challenge. And I think that's why sort of Pulp Fiction is like the one that everybody knows, but it's not, at the top of my head, I can't think of any other films that really do that. I'm sure there probably are, but just not that come to mind. Do you know what? What I would like to see, man, is I would like to see some
Memento
of those.
Is a good other one.
That's I guess so. Yeah, is kind of like those sorts of Bond short stories, like the actual Fiore's only stories and all that kind of stuff. It'll never happen. I suppose the way you would do that would be in a TV series, which I think a lot of people are very interested in. But at the end of the day, they're interested in making the films and nothing else really. So,
But if there's material out there which they're not going to use for the films, why not stick it in something else? But then maybe they are saving it. Eventually they'll probably get around to these stories in one way or another, won't they?
Yeah. Sure.
Obviously they've used a lot already, but I guess that's the ultimate thing. The other thing as well was just a quick one regarding that painting above Madeline's bed in the base in Spectre was the same one from Skyfall.
Oh, really? We know that for sure, do we?
Yeah. So that's a really nice link to Silver. And I think that, along with that, what you mentioned last time about the list of agents, basically once that gets stolen, Silver never really refers to it. So it's almost like he was doing it for someone else. So I think, like you mentioned before, that list was purely for Blofeld. and Silver was all about M, and Blofeld was like, great, got us a list. I'll help you track down M and do that side of things.
That's what I think about that. I don't think the whole plot to kill M was like Blofeld masterminding that at all. I feel like still like that whole list of the agents was what Spectre and Blofeld was interested in. Silver was doing that, and along the way he got a bit too sort of gnarly with M as alongside that mission. I don't think Blofeld ever went, go and kill Judy. I don't think that ever happened.
Blofeld said, well, I'll tell you what, you help me do this, I'll help you do that. And so maybe it was a case of that. But I think that's kind of helped the Skyfall link a lot more.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, but just absolutely. That little thing I thought was quite cool. But that's all I had for today.
Should we get cracking with these interviews?
I think so, definitely. So just to verify, in terms of the order, it was basically as they came in. Is that,
great. Just one after the other. So it's time to turn it over to the JBR family and have all you guys tell us what you think of Spectre rather than just listen to us waffling on. So let's get stuck in. Let's do it.
The JBR takeover. Can't wait. Here we go.
Hi guys, JBR listener Stuart Ball here. Here's my 90-second review of Spectre. Daniel Craig has revitalised the Bond franchise, and on the whole, I feel that this is another extremely successful instalment. Craig is now totally comfortable in the role, handling the change in style in Spectre perfectly. Casino Royale, Quantum and Skyfall called for a cold, hard, and at times almost defeated Bond. Spectre is Bond in his prime, a fully rounded 00. Bond 24 has a perfect balance of classic 007 and the modern day Bond, rammed full of nods to vintage Bond, M back in his office complete with padded doors where one of the best scenes of the film takes place, a villain with an extravagant hideaway, and a return to some of the humour of old without being too cringeworthy. That sounds marvellous. However, this isn't Bond perfection. The third act of the film has caused much debate. Bond's escape and destruction of Blofeld's lair is far too easy and almost detracts from the return of the Spectre boss himself. The car chase needed a little more danger and brutality, and the score is adequate but rarely spectacular. And I'm still troubled by some of the final bridge scene and its insert the name of any 100 cop movies here style. These, however, are small quibbles in the grand scheme of the film, and Craig's performance, together with the supporting characters of M, Q and Hinks, a brilliant pre-credit sequence, and the equilibrium between the old and new styles, mean this is a solid 8 out of 10 Bond, leaving us waiting tantalisingly for Bond 25.
Hey guys, Jeff Silence here with my quick Spectre review. I really, really loved the film. For me, it ticked off a lot of boxes that I had for it. What I really liked was it was a classic Bond film. I mean, we got a lot of those classic Bond elements back. Humor was really spot on. I really loved David Bautista as Hinks. I mean, that train fight was just freaking awesome. I think it'll be a classic. I really, really want them to bring Hinks back for Bond 25. We can already guess that Blofeld will somehow escape in the next film. I think it would be awesome if it's actually Mr. Hinks that busts Blofeld out of prison. And with Christoph Waltz, I thought he was great as Blofeld. I thought he was perfect. I know some people complain about him not having enough screen time, but I think that's going to even out in the next film. I had a couple of nitpicks, like Spectre being behind everything in the previous Craig films. It seemed a little rushed to me, especially with Silva. If he was like a member of Spectre, did that mean his plot to kill M in Skyfall was him taking revenge, or was it a Spectre plot? I felt that could have been fleshed out more. The rest is kind of what you guys already talked about in that final act. Them escaping Blofeld's lair a little too easily, being able to shoot down the helicopter a little too much of a stretch. But overall, I love the film. If I had to rank it with other Craig films, I'd put it just below Casino Royale, followed by Skyfall and Quantum. Really awesome.
Hi guys, James Dutton here. In response to your Spectre review, I enjoyed the film, but I just didn't love it. And, you know, I love Casino Royale and I love Skyfall. When I came out with both those films, I really, really enjoyed it. There's a lot of plus points to the film, such as Quantum being mentioned. I'm glad they kind of went down that path and, you know, didn't just leave it. Like linking it to Spectre, I liked. But things I didn't like was sort of things like the plane sequence. I mean, it's, you know, I know you've said about it, but it was so quick the way he jumped into that plane after Madeline, after she got kidnapped. Just thought they needed to do a little bit more there. I didn't think it didn't look quite as good as Skyfall with the picture quality. I don't know if it's to do with the fact that was shot on digital, but it wasn't quite as colourful, and that did, kind of bug me. But I've only seen it once at the cinema. I want to see it again on DVD, and then I might enjoy it more. I didn't like the Blofeld reveal, the way they did it with the half-brother thing. I thought that was forced and just unnecessary. But a question I wanted to say to you was, quickly before I run out of time, is the ending. Do you not think it would have been a lot better if they got rid of all the London sequence? And I do quite like the London sequence, but if they had the ending all at Blofeld's lair and it was a little bit longer at his lair and they had more of a big battle at the end like they used to, say like You Only Live Twice. That's my thoughts on it. Thank you.
Hi, this is Jack Lugo. I just wanted to give my quick thoughts on Spectre. I actually wrote a review for the website a couple of weeks back, and I still feel the same way. I think it's a solid, entertaining Bond movie, and it's a movie that I could easily see myself rewatching and enjoying, and, I'll definitely appreciate more aspects of the movie as time goes by, and I rewatch it once it comes out on Blu-ray and DVD. I think it's a movie that doesn't necessarily hold up to scrutiny, but even the parts that I don't like about the movie don't necessarily ruin the movie for me. So, even though I'm not crazy about the personal relationship between Blofeld and Bond, it doesn't necessarily make me hate the movie or ruin the rest of the movie for me. Something that I have to just take in and accept. But I think Skyfall did a better job with the motivation of the villain. I think you never really questioned what Silva's motives were in Skyfall. I think, from the moment you're introduced to Silva, you know what he's about and you know what his plan is and you know what the stakes are. Whereas I think in Spectre, it's kind of nebulous and you're not really sure. Spectre already has the capabilities to do their own surveillance, so you don't really know why they need this building for Denby's character. I think the reason why they're doing it obviously is to legitimize themselves, but it doesn't really, the stakes don't really carry through. But overall, I enjoyed it. I definitely would recommend it, and I'll definitely rewatch it.
Hello, Tom. Hello, Chris. Colin from Antigua. Spectre, nice to see a lot of the classic elements back in its rightful place. Great to see the gun barrel sequence back at the beginning. The pre-title sequence will be a classic. I think Daniel Craig's really got into his stride now in the part as Bond. I think it's taken him these 4 movies just to get the elements just right, and now he has a confidence and a swagger as Bond. You can really see, he loves playing them. I think he's got at least one more movie left in him, for sure. I hope he doesn't leave. Blofeld, it was a nice reveal, although we played Blofeld. I felt the henchman, Mr. Hinks, was fantastic. The fight in the train were one of the best sequences I've ever seen in a Bond movie. It was just so physical, and the editing was fantastic. Loved it. I'd like to see Mr. Hinks come back. Overall, I felt the film had enough of a homage to the classic movies, as well as moving them into the era too. I loved them, Moneypenny, Q, fantastic. The score, I really wish David Arnold would have come back. I believe the only reason we've had Thomas Newman is because of his association with Sam Mendes. I believe it's a great collaboration, but I'd love to see David Arnold come back for the next one. Overall, Spectre, very entertaining, great movie. Thanks, guys.
Hi guys, love the show. JBR podcast is terrific. So, Spectre, really enjoyed it. Feels like an old-fashioned Bond romp. Who cares if it isn't perfect? It's 2.5 hours of brand new Bond. So what I liked especially, thought Daniel Craig is amazing. He completely nails the part for me. He is terrific in Spectre. He's got to come back for one more. I thought the pre-title sequence was a masterpiece. Arguably the best sequence in Bond history. Everything just comes together perfectly. The action is first class. DC is cool. Hoyt van Hoytema's cinematography is beautiful. Newman's score comes alive here, and the tracking shot is very clever. I also love the new MI6 team. I think they work really well together, and they're a large reason that the film feels old-fashioned in a good way. A couple of things I didn't like. Monica Bellucci, I believe she's got a cameo in the film. I've yet to spot her in it. The car chase, I feel, was underplayed. It could have been so much better, especially after all the pre-publicity about it. And Mr. Hinks, terrific bad guy, could have been up there with Oddjob and Jaws, but just feels though he's missing an extra scene to be a true classic. Anyway, keep up the good work. Love the show. Bye, guys.
Hi, Tom, Chris, and fellow JBR listeners. This is Jed Young from Singapore with what I thought about Spectre. While I enjoyed it on the whole, and there were many nods and references and individual moments that I loved, looking back on it, I was a little disappointed and a little unsatisfied. I guess I set my hopes up way too high, a tiny bit at least. As with most Bond fans, the area that left me the most unsatisfied was the handling of the villain. And I thought Blofeld's motivation was a little weak and contrived. And once we all saw that family photo, the burned photo in the trailers, I guess we could figure out where it was going. And there wasn't very much of a surprise in that regard, which is especially disappointing given an actor of Christoph Waltz's stature in the role. And I hope that we get to see more done with Blofeld in Bond 25 and beyond. I did love Dave Bautista as Mr. Hinks, and I thought the opening sequence, the pre-title sequence in Mexico, was absolutely awesome. I wish that the gun barrel sequence had the black dots and the iris open up into the eye socket of a skull of one of the Day of the Dead floats. I think that would have been cool, and I would have preferred that over the text, "The Dead Are Alive." So that's what I thought about Spectre. Thanks so much for the 30 Days of Spectre, and keep bonding. See you guys.
What's up, guys? This is Drew Hunter, giving my thoughts on Spectre, and oh my god, that movie was perfect. I mean, within those first 10 minutes, I was a little kid watching my first Bond film again. It was that much excitement. I was just, my mouth was wide open, I'm gripping the seats and crushing my closest friend's hand, but anyway, it's Daniel Craig's second best Bond movie because, honestly, you can't top Casino Royale, but honestly, he has sailed into the role so perfectly. I mean, really, I really want to see 3 more movies with him, but I don't know if we'll do at least 1 more. Anyway, Christoph Waltz is that reveal and the scar and the everything, and then Léa Seydoux as Madeline, she was perfect. She was an amazing Bond girl, and really, I hope she comes back for the next one because that ending with Blofeld on the bridge hints at some big things to come, and it's going to be good. But yeah, the only things I would change with the movie would be the score, because the score was good. There was some really good tracks, but it's kind of weak, and some little moments in the third act, specifically the ending at the base and how Bond escapes. But really, I wouldn't change much because that movie's just, it's perfect. It's in my top 10 personally, and really can't wait to see what's coming next.
Thanks for the opportunity to talk about Spectre for a minute. I've been enjoying the 30 Days of Spectre quite a bit. I understand that you guys love the film. I enjoyed it. It wouldn't be one of my favorites. Daniel Craig, great performance. The train sequence, great action sequence. The rest of the film, particularly the action, just felt uninspired, and I felt like the film was looking for a reason to exist. The fact that Sam Mendes turned it down twice and Daniel Craig begged him to come back suggested to me that Mendes really didn't have anything else to say about Bond after he did Skyfall. So what I see on the screen is a film that's just referencing all of the other films in a very, very heavy way because there wasn't an original approach to take. The idea that the action was generic, the idea that Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible was a better put together and better executed movie than Bond is disappointing. However, the reality is that Bond's been around for 50 years, and I know that it's a difficult and challenging kind of endeavor. So the fact that they're able to mount these films and have been able to do it more successfully than not lets me know that even though Spectre fell a little short, I'm looking for number 25 to reclaim what was lost this time. Thanks a lot, guys.
Hi, boys. This is Tom Barwick. I'm a regular listener, although I haven't phoned in before, and I just wanted to share my thoughts about Spectre. So I've got a few things to say about the thing. I've written them down, so you can probably hear paper in the background. I've only seen it once, but I'm going to go and see it in a couple of weeks' time. It's been about 4 weeks, so some of this will be hazy in the memory. But what I generally think is that the title sequence is absolutely brilliant in the movie. The pre-title sequence with the barrel roll in the in the helicopter was fantastic, and the whole of the Mexico sequence just didn't drop anything. It was absolutely fantastic, and I really loved the Sam Smith song in the title sequence as well. I thought it was brilliant. We then moved to London, and I thought that it set everything up. MQ, Moneypenny, and Tanner were really good, and then we moved on to Rome. The boardroom scene was fantastic, and then we had the really funny chase. Austria and Morocco, thought they were a little bit slow, but I liked that. And then you got this accelerating train sequence with the fight, and then we moved on to the lair, which was brilliant. The reveal troubled a lot of people, but I thought that Blofeld was really good. I thought that I thought that Christoph Waltz really played the part of Blofeld really well.
Hey guys, my name is Dennis Fasek from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a huge fan of podcasts, huge fan of James Bond, and I'm a huge fan of Spectre. I'll get it out of the way right now. Third act was kind of weird, but you guys are right. It could definitely be saved by what they do in the next movie. I think the soundtrack was just kind of okay, except for these like stellar pieces they had every once in a while. You know, like right in the beginning, the Dia de los Muertos. I don't remember the actual name of it. I think I have it written down. I'm wasting time. Whew. The biggest thing I liked about this movie is that they get back to classic Bond, which I walked out of Skyfall thinking I liked Skyfall, but I was concerned about the next one because it seemed like they were steering away from classic Bond. But right out of the start of this film, I see the gun barrel and I think, oh, no, it's classic Bond. They're getting back to classic Bond. And the whole movie is just so classic. It's formulaic for the most part. Blofeld's back. You can't get more classic than that. Opening sequence, just rad. You know, you have a briefing with M. It's so classic, and we haven't had that with Daniel yet. And it just works. Like it is cool. I have some problems with the movie, but you know, I have problems with every James Bond movie. But it doesn't overshadow how much I love it. Thank you guys so much. Love the podcast. Love you guys. Bye.
Hello from Portugal. I'm here to talk about Spectre. For me, the best Bond movie of the Craig era, definitely. It has everything. It has classic Bond. It has, you know, the DB10. Oh my God, amazing car. It has everything. And if I would rate it 9 out of 10, definitely. It's such an amazing film. The thrill from start to the end, from the Mexico sequence, oh my God, so beautiful, to that ending, and the DB5, oh my God, the return of the DB5. I was so thrilled to see that. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Hello, JBR. This is Adam Slusar messaging you from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And basically, I just wanted to say how much I absolutely loved Spectre. After Skyfall, I was really disappointed. I felt like it was a little bit ham-fisted, actually, not at all on board with the hype. Spectre, however, I found was like a total Spectre was a breath of fresh air, and this was the Daniel Craig entry I would have been waiting for. Probably since Casino Royale, which is also brilliant. But the pre-title sequence, and the theme song by Sam Smith, which was brilliant. The car chase in Rome, some good laughs there. The fight with Hinks on the train was brilliant. And, even though the ending was a little bit drawn out, I was just so on board with the rest of it that it didn't even occur to me. So I guess with that, 2 big thumbs up for Spectre. Cheers, guys, and I've really enjoyed your 30 Days of Spectre podcast coverage. It's been a blast. So keep up the good work, and we'll probably talk to you on the interwebs. Ciao.
Hello, Tom. Hello, Chris. This is Paul Jameson here from Preston, England, here with my review of Spectre. Right, first things first. This is a real belter of a movie. The plot's a strong one that does hang together well, but yes, there are times where you go, I really wish they'd spent just one more run at that in the script room. Chief successes in this film for me lie within the acting, where all the principals are completely at ease in their roles. None other than Danny Boy himself, who is now just so comfortable playing Bond. Hoyt van Hoytman brings an almost chocolate box-like lens cover to the camera. You really see that in the Rome sequences. And listen, let's not forget that pre-title sequence. My God, those 10 minutes are where every single Bond fan pops a Viagra pill. That walk on that rooftop with those horns, Jesus. But on the downside, I get the feeling that everybody involved would have liked to just one more run at the script, a few pre and post to hit extra months. You know, that plane, the ring, the Spectre base blown up, the Penelope pit stop like end with Madeline tied up. Is it the masterpiece I was expecting? No. Was it the dark, gothic, brooding film that the trailers presented? No. But it was a blast of a film, and one that took me completely by surprise. The tone was just perfect. But I like a surprise, especially a good one. But there are folks out there who just don't. So for me, better than Skyfall, not as good as Casino and Quantum. 8.5 out of 10.
Hi guys, this is Tony Black, and this is what I thought of Spectre. I've seen it 3 times now, and I thought it was pretty good on the first time, and second time I was really excited by it, and the third time I just loved it. It's, as a huge Bond fan, it's one of those films that critically it's got its problems, but as a Bond fan I just love all of it, and I really think it's going to be one of those films that I just rewatch over and over again. I love Christoph Waltz, I love Hinks, I love the set pieces, I love the music. I just think it's got all the Bondian elements that we've missed since the days of Pierce and his movies, and I just would like to see this trend continue now with the next run of films. And the gun barrel has to stay because that was just the punch the air moment completely for me, and I'm sure for everybody else. So yeah, I increasingly love it, and I think it's going to be one of the most fondly remembered Bonds, and probably the one that people watch of Daniel Craig the most outside of Casino Royale, which is still his best, admittedly. So yeah, that's what I thought. Loving the podcast, guys. Fairly new to it. Keep up the good work, and yeah, cheers.
Hi Tom and Chris, Doug Thompson calling in from New Zealand for the 90s You Can Speak to review. I flippin' loved it. Right from the start we got the gun barrel back. Oh my gosh, I was so pleased to see it back at the start. Music's pretty good. The pre-title sequence is fantastic. I love the little notes of the Bond theme going through there. The couch gag was fantastic. Helicopter fight, fantastic. The title sequence, I love the Spectre motifs in the octopus. I was a little bit thrown by the topless Daniel at the top. That was a bit random. The theme is better with the credits running through. I don't have a massive issue with that now. Awesome seeing Bond getting racked up in the traditional M office, fantastic. Moving through to Rome, that was all awesome. Loved the Spectre meeting scene. I loved the Hoffner Clinic, that whole plane chase scene. Morocco was awesome. Tangier was cool. I loved the mouse gag, that was hilarious. The only thing I really struggled with in the Morocco scene, I love the meteor room, that was freaking awesome in Blofeld's introduction. The only thing I struggled with was Oberhauser Blofeld connection. Obviously, in the book, Oberhauser is a different character altogether. Yeah, that was random. But anyway, overall, this whole film to scream Bond to me. I love it. It's my second favourite, Daniel Craig, only second to Casino Royale. Awesome. Thank you so much. Bye.
Hello, it's JBR listener Matthew Grice with my 90-second review of Spectre. First of all, I enjoyed the film. I thought it was absolutely fantastic that Blofeld's back, and it was Christoph Waltz. I mean, I'm a huge cat lover, and I don't think I've ever been so fucking excited to see a white pussy before. I was just like, yes, man, he's back, and the cat's back, and it's Christoph Waltz as Blofeld, which I wanted because there was a lot of speculation if it was going to be Andrew Scott or Christoph Waltz. Overall, I mean, I went to see the film 3 times, and some of you may hate me for saying this, but I don't think Spectre is Craig's best. After 3 viewings, on the third viewing, I actually did find the third act pretty weak, which is what you guys had mentioned. And personally, I think it would have been better if the climax had taken place at Blofeld's lair with Madeline maybe saving the day instead of Bond. You know, because Bond's obviously a bit sort of out of balance and, you know, not in good shape after having his head drilled. Otherwise, there was a couple of bits. Monica Bellucci, DB10, I just thought there was quite a lot of hype about it, but it was not used much. But pretty much I think Spectre was the typical cinematic Bond as opposed to the literature Bond which we have been used to. Okay, that's me. See you later, guys. Bye.
Hi guys, it's Bram Clark, and this is my 90-second review of Spectre. On first viewing of the film, I found it to be immensely entertaining and very satisfying, and I feel only the last scene of the film felt a bit flat, and it was like, oh, that's the last scene? Well, never mind, I enjoyed the rest of it. Second, third viewings of the film, and I did pick up on things I feel could have been done better, but to shorten time, those are all things that Tom and Chris have already pointed out on the show. So I agree with everything there that you said, guys. None of that, however, detracts from what is a very good Bond film, and this film has some of the best scenes we've seen in the series for years. The gun barrel, yes, it's back. The entire opening sequence in Mexico City, wow, spectacular stuff, and that pre-credits is now equal to me with The Living Daylights. The title sequence and song, I like that. All the sequences with Bond interacting with MQ and Moneypenny throughout the entire film, love that team, brilliant. Monica Bellucci, ooh. The Spectre meeting and Blofeld's introduction, Mr. Hinks, great stuff, very spooky. Love the car chase, funny and exciting. Madeleine Swan, her introduction, her character throughout the film. The snowplane chase and the train fight in particular, very exciting. Problems with the final third, and I think all it needed was maybe an aerial ending like Living Daylights of Utica to send the audience out on a high. But overall, 8 out of 10. Thanks, guys.
Hey, guys, this is Jimmy G. I have my own podcast. It's a video game podcast called The Pie Factory. Anyway, my review of the movie Spectre. I fully enjoyed it. It was a great movie. It was more of a throwback to the Bond of yore, as it were. And if you went in there expecting a gritty Jason Bourne type film, you'd be sorely disappointed. But if you want just a fun, escapist kind of film, which is what James Bond was to me growing up, you'll be thoroughly entertained. And that's what I go to movies for, to be entertained. And this was an entertaining movie. Wasn't a huge fan of the ending, but it didn't ruin the movie for me because Blofeld is back. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.
Hi, my name is Benjamin. I'm from New Zealand. Are you ready? Let's go. Spectre for me blew my mind, literally. It's my favourite Craig film and probably the best cinema experience ever. First, Craig deserves a huge round of applause. Lovely story arc there. He's more gentlemanly than in Casino Royale and the other movies, and closer to the blessed Sir Roger and Sean. Really loved it. Huge smile on my face. Sado was absolutely gorgeous, absolutely stunning. Brilliant acting. I don't blame Bond one bit for throwing his gun into the river because it was for her. I would have done the same. The whole Blofeld plot twist involving the other films didn't feel shoehorned at all. I felt like it really worked. I really liked it. My overall impression is that the Bond creators, Michael G. and Barbara, know exactly what they're doing. Why? Because I had a huge smile on my face the whole time. I felt like a little kid. I swear it. I wanted to be Bond. Bond was so cool. Favourite moments. Right, here we go. Train fight. The GoldenEye-esque moment when the plane crashes through the shed, having Money Cube, all that back. The boat coming out of the exploding MI6 building with Swan on it and Bond. Any scene with Swan. Only one thing I would change is that I would have Bond, instead of saluting to Mr. Hanks, give him the old Roger Moore eyebrow nod, like in For Your Eyes Only. Thanks, JBR. Bye.
Hello, it's Dave Allen here. Love your podcasts. This is just a quick review of Spectre. I don't know how to describe it, but to say it's like I've had a nice big meal, but it's not quite digested properly. I feel like too much they tried to put into this film, and it doesn't all pay off. The way they tried to link all the past films together was a great idea on paper, but it just seems that it doesn't altogether tie well in the way it was done. I mean, the backstory with the family, with the foster brother of what becomes Blofeld was silly. It should not have happened like that. Parts of the film I love, but other parts of it have major problems. I mean, why have the sort of chases come up so quick without any major cutting and what have you? I don't know. I mean, I need to watch it again to see, but it just feels uneasy with me, and I need to see it again, I think.
Hello everyone, I am Gosse Drent from the Netherlands, and I saw Spectre 3 times now, and I think it's an amazing movie. I really love it. It starts with a great gun barrel. I loved the Pierce Brosnan design more. I prefer the Brosnan design, but still the classic feeling. It's a bit sad it faded out and it didn't had the spot moving and then going into the film, because I thought it could have been great with the opening shot, but sadly that isn't true. The Daniel Kleinman visuals were amazing. I love Sam Smith's score. I think I'm one of the few people absolutely love it. I think it's fucking amazing. And the visuals, whoa. I saw a video on YouTube. I saw the videos again here at my home, and it's amazing. Also, Blofeld, I don't think they had to connect him to Bond, but I don't really mind him. I mind it. I prefer it if they didn't, if they hadn't connected him to Bond, but I don't care. Overall, I think it's a great movie. I hope to see Swan back in the next movie, and well, maybe to see to get her killed or something, just like you are talking about Tracy. And overall, you have to see Spectre. It's an amazing, great film. I absolutely love it. Thank you.
Hello, chaps. This is Steve Batchelor here with my 90-second review of Spectre. Overall, I loved the film. Really enjoyed it. Much preferred it to Skyfall, and one of the main reasons for that was the fact that it was fun. I went to see the Mission Impossible film back in May, I think it was, most recent one. And during that, I was sitting there thinking, you know what, this is just really fun. And it seemed like a while since James Bond had been. All the classic Bond elements were back in, which was nice to see. Daniel was really relaxed. And it was beautifully shot as well, particularly the sequences in Rome and in Austria just looked gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Proper epic Bond film that we haven't seen for a while. Things I didn't like so much. I'm still not comfortable with that Oberhauser backstory. It doesn't really add anything for me. It doesn't really. Raymond Benson tried it in High Time to Kill. I didn't really like it then either. It's too small world for Bond. I want him to be engaging with things that are unknown and unknowable, not so close to home. There wasn't enough Monica Bellucci. There's never enough Monica Bellucci, and the surfeit of Monica Bellucci is unimaginable. But she was a bit wasted, I felt. Agree with the problems with the ending as well. It was too easy to get away. And I didn't like the score. Don't like him. Get David Arnold back. Get someone else in. Thanks for listening, guys. 5 last things. Timothy Dalton, Timothy Dalton, Timothy Dalton, Timothy Dalton, Timothy Dalton.
Hi guys, my name is Mitch. Big fan of the podcast. Hardly missed one since the beginning of the month. Thought Spectre was fantastic. Seen it 3 times. My only complaint, like most people, was the last third. I don't understand why they allowed Blofeld to be caught. How long has it been since we've had Blofeld in a Bond film? And just to go and throw all that away and have him caught in the last third, I don't know why they bothered with the final London sequence. It was almost like they tried to get the film going again. After 2 hours, they should have finished it, drawn out the villain's lair scene, and that should have been the end. Anyway, I'm complaining, and I shouldn't be, because it was fantastic. But one of the things I did want to bring up, which I haven't heard in the podcast, is, I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but if you watch the trailers for Spectre before the finished film came out, and the film itself, the way some of the lines are delivered by certain actors are different in the way they say those lines. For example, I'm thinking about the Mr. White scene where he says something along the lines of "You're a kite dancing in a hurricane." Listen to the way he delivers that line in the film, and then go back and rewatch the trailer. And that's not the only scene. This happens 5 or 6 times within the film, where the way certain actors deliver certain lines in the trailers are very different. I don't know whether they overdub lines for trailers. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Anyway, thanks very much.
Hello, James Bond Radio. This is someone that listens to your show quite a bit. I can't say I disagree or agree particularly with what you say about a certain one called Die Another Day. But I didn't like kite surfing tsunamis either. What are you doing today, mate? Kite surfing tsunamis. To be honest, I only remember GoldenEye. The others, was it The World Is Never Dies or Tomorrow's Not Enough? Anyway, I'd just like to say I enjoyed the film. I enjoyed Spectre. Thought it was good. Good story, good script. I thought the plot could have been improved. I thought it was overlong. But I think Daniel's really found his stride, Give the man a break. I think anyone saying he should stand down, he's only hitting his stride. Maybe he should stop at 4, though. Just doesn't want to beat my record. But this is Pierce. Loving your work. Keep it up, lads. And, James Bond Radio. Keep listening. Take care. Bye.
Hi, guys. I think Spectre is pretty much a perfect James Bond movie. I managed to avoid almost all the spoilers and for the most part went into the theater with only my expectations based on the end of Skyfall. I was so excited by the way Skyfall ended with a new Moneypenny and M and back in the old M office. I couldn't wait to see where they went with it. What I was hoping for was a mix of the Daniel Craig era Bond with the sense of fun of The Living Daylights and On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and that's exactly what I got. Spectre is action-packed and fun, and it looks beautiful. We even get to see some nipples back in the titles. Unfortunately, they're Daniel Craig's, but what can you do? If I had one complaint, I would say 2.5 hours is too long for my taste, and I wish it was 30 minutes shorter. I wouldn't know what to cut out of it, though, because I was on the edge of my seat through the whole thing both times I saw it. I'm really enjoying the podcast, especially 30 Days of Spectre, and thanks a lot. Keep up the good work.
Hey guys, massive Bond fan from Canada here. Also a big fan of the podcast as well. I've seen Spectre 5 times now, if you can believe it, and I think that's a testament to how much I enjoyed it. The film is utterly phenomenal. It has so many elements and qualities that make it a completely classic and memorable Bond film. The movie capitalizes on all that is Bond, and that's very much what I love about it, so you're probably not surprised to know that it is by far my most favorite Bond film out of the 24-film franchise. Christoph Waltz is used to his full potential. I was actually really surprised at the lack of praise he received. He was completely menacing, very frightening, and everything you wanted to Blofeld. This is without a doubt Craig's best performance also. He literally never ceases to amaze me. And I really like how they're trying to kind of retain this continuity throughout the Craig era. It really works, and it's really cleverly done and well executed in Spectre. I also love the Bond and Madeline relationship. It was totally believable and very effectively mirrored Bond and Vesper's relationship. I think I can speak for all Bond fans that when Bond picks up that Vesperlin interrogation tape, we pretty much all got chills running through our spine. And it's moments like that and the pre-title sequence that really just genuinely made me jump of excitement and made me realize the sheer greatness of the film. And it's something I can breathe a huge sigh of relief for, because after 3 long years of anticipation, it finally pays off in the form of Spectre. So thanks.
Hey guys, this is Ralph from Hamburg, and I made some notes, and I hope this won't be too chaotic, but here's my review. Everything up to the escape from Blofeld's lair was top-notch and classic Bond, maybe except for big parts of the soundtrack. Not all of it, because the pre-title music was awesome, the Rogue music was awesome, but they really should have used Majesty's theme during the snow sequences. Q was a highlight. The pre-title sequence was awesome. The title sequence was strangely arousing. My home city got a mention because Spectre conducted train bombing in Hamburg. Hinks, the cat, Blofeld, Hinks. I already mentioned Hinks, but I'll mention Hinks again. Are all amazing. So is the lair, the minions, the Spectre meeting, the ring. Maybe the movie went on for a bit too long because I didn't like the escape and the London scenes in the end, although the tracks that accompany those scenes make great jogging music, so Chris, be sure to check that out. And all in all, it's a really good Bond film with a lot of solid, awesome moments in it. Whew, I've run out of notes. Still got 10 seconds to go. I love this film. Cheers.
Spectre shit.
No, I'm just kidding. I enjoyed the first half of it. In fact, it was the best fun I've had in a cinema all year. It does lose it a little bit with that twist, and I listened to your very nice comments about reinterpreting it. My point is just that if there is a twist on the twist, so to speak, in the sense that he doesn't build the organization, the bad guy. I'm trying not to spoil it because of a personal grudge. Then terrific. But then the question remains: why have that personal grudge? It wasn't necessary, particularly if you are trying to tie all of the films together. But I enjoyed it. I particularly love Leia Seydoux, and I really do hope they do not kill her off in the next one or turn her evil. In fact, I think that the pitch that will be most interesting is if it looks like she's been killed off at the beginning, but it turns out that Bond actually has to cope with being left, and you only find out maybe halfway through that that's what's happened. That it's simply somebody who has left him. Excuse me. And he's brooding about that, and he's gone back to action. What we don't really want, I think, is another rebuilding Bond movie, unless it's really a quick montage. But yeah, so I think we need to keep an even tone with it as well. Not too dark, not too light, but not confused like a certain Brosnan one, which I know you don't like.
I think the thing to remember is that these are thrillers, and Bond shouldn't be a Superman. You can't identify with a Superman. So that bit where he shoots up the villain's super lair. Ridiculous, verges into pastiche. And they're not pastiche. These are thrillers. But I think that the rest of it was an accomplished thriller. I think that Daniel is doing exactly what I was trying to do nearly 30 years ago. I think it's true to the spirit of Ian Fleming. And I think that's what counts. There were little nods, I thought, to the Dalton era. The fact that they call the bad guy France. That's got to be a nod to France Sanchez, doesn't it? He wasn't quite as scary as Sanchez. When you are up to your knees, you will kiss my ass to kill you. How did I know he was Blofeld? Well, because I know things. Okay. So I just felt people should give the film a break, enjoy it. So I think it's got a good balance. I think perhaps the next one, it'll be interesting to see, do they go down the road of pastiche, or do they keep it, with that kind of darker tone that Daniel particularly and one of his predecessors, I won't name names, excelled at. And that's part of the fun with this series. It reinvents. Anyway, keep up the good work, lads. Love your show.
Hi guys, it's Keith calling from Melbourne. Thought I'd give you a quick dial and weigh in on Spectre. Basically, I like the film. I like it a lot, but I do think that it's a step down from Skyfall. I think Skyfall's a far better movie. I know you guys are pretty rough on it and you don't really like it, and I can see why, but I just think where Skyfall works and Spectre doesn't is that Skyfall takes the time to sort of build the story and build a relationship between the characters, so by the end you're emotionally invested, and it just gives time for the story to develop. Whether or not you like that story is a different matter, but it's undeniable that they let the story develop and you get what's going on. Whereas with Spectre, it seemed Mendes was only interested in just having those classic Bond elements in, which is great, but I felt that was done at the expense of a good story. You're just not emotionally invested in any way. The characters are thinly drawn, and whilst I do enjoy it and I think it's a good time, it's not a great film. I think for next time they needed to have just a couple more exposition scenes at the start, like the Bond films of old, so we sort of know exactly what's happening, just to clearly draw out the story a bit more. But having said that, I enjoyed it. I loved all the stuff. That sort of 40-minute section of the film from Tangier all the way to Blofeld's Lair I thought was fantastic. Great pre-title sequence. Daniel Craig is phenomenal. But I was a little disappointed. But I'm looking forward to the next one. All right, take care.
Good day, Tom and Chris, and of course, fellow Bond fans. This is Jeroen from the Netherlands, also known as Dutch Mordecai fan on YouTube. And first of all, I have to say, you two are doing a great job with your 30 Days of Spectre thing. It's a real treat, and it makes November a lot more sunny, so thanks a lot for that one, guys. Anyway, I figured I'd just throw in my 2 cents on Spectre as well, and in a nutshell, I have to say, it's just an amazing Bond movie. I think the majority of the people disliking the film are mostly casual moviegoers who don't really get what Bond is all about, really. Most diehard fans seem to really like the film, though. Of course, there are some exceptions on both sides, but generally the people that are so negative about it seem to complain about the shift of tone. Well, I thought the tone of the film was very comparable to GoldenEye in a way, actually, because when you think about it, that's one of those Bond films that is enjoyed by both fans of the dark and gritty Bond, as well as fans of the light-hearted classic Bond stuff, and Spectre had the perfect balance down between both, if you ask me. I didn't mind the filmmakers brought in some more humor and returned to a more classic Bond at all. I also feel there was no real weak link in terms of acting by anyone in this film. I mean, Christoph Waltz easily was one of the best Blofelds in the series so far, if not the best. The pre-title sequence was one of the best too. Shame Monica Bellucci was only in it for such a short while. Man, was she hot. But to me, it's definitely top 10 or top 5 worthy.
Hello, James Bond Radio. Hello, Tom. Hello, Chris. My name is Edgar Chaput. I'm in Montreal, Canada, Station C, if you will. Big fan of the show. I follow you guys on Twitter and the Facebook page as well. First and foremost, I just want to thank you guys very quickly for giving the fans and the listeners the opportunity to share some thoughts in these mini reviews. Where to begin with Spectre? Well, I like it a lot. In fact, I just came back from the cinema. It's my fourth viewing, and I like it a lot. I think we really, really have a good one. I know a lot of the critics on this side of the pond, if you will, are not too keen on the film. Rest assured, the fan base is very strong here in North America, and here in Canada in particular, and we certainly love the movie a lot. I think what strikes me the most in all 4 viewings when I saw the movie was the pleasure people are getting out of this movie, how much fun it is. And I think that's what I take away the most from Spectre. It's such a fun movie. It's a little bit more lighthearted. There's a little bit more humor. And every time Craig or anybody else has a funny line, the fans are laughing. They're really, really enjoying it. And it's just nice to have a classic Bond like that. So that's what I like most about Spectre. Thanks again, guys. Love the show.
Hello, my name is Picorelli, Wilfred Picorelli from Station PR in Puerto Rico. I traveled to London to see Spectre. It was a great experience. I saw it at the Odeon Leicester Square 5 times during my trip of 10 days. I love the fact that we finally have a classic James Bond film back. I love the action in the pre-title sequence in Mexico, but it's not a perfect film. They could have done so much more things better and explaining more about the connection between Quantum, Dominic Green, and the Spectre organization. And I agree with most of the flaws you guys have said in the past episode of 30 Days of Spectre. But overall, I have a great time in my James Bond trip, visit many Bond locations in London, and I have a blast. So thank you guys for this opportunity, and take care, guys. Bye.
Hi lads and fellow JBR listeners, it's Stephen Wadsworth here from Manchester in the UK, just sharing my thoughts on Spectre. I really liked it. Skyfall just wasn't my cup of tea, and I think I was ready for a change of tone, and this movie really hit the spot for me. I'd say up to the torture scene it was a 9 out of 10 film, from then on maybe 6 out of 10, but overall as a piece I really liked it. I thought the strengths of the film this time with the new MI6 crew we've got, fantastic. The pre-credits, the Spectre meeting scene, the train scenes, all great. But what I was happiest with this time was Daniel finally getting comfortable with the equipage, which was great. It's number 3 on my Daniel list, behind Casino and Quantum. Number 11 on my overall all-time list. Could creep up those lists over the years, you never know. Obviously, the story next time can go in a few different ways. I'm not too bothered where they go in Bond 25 story-wise. But what I do want to see is Bond using his wit next time to get out of his dangerous situations rather than radioing for help or gunning down 10 people and jumping into a helicopter. So let's see what happens there. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Hey guys, my name's Barry. I'm one of your followers on Facebook. I am a big fan of Spectre. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. My friend and I went to see it in London, and we had such a good time sitting on the front row of the cinema and became like two giggling teenagers watching this movie. We absolutely loved the fight choreography and talked about it actually a lot after the film. And, we're both in agreement that, to see Bond get the shit kicked out of him on the train and then have to rely on his ingenuity to actually overcome, a vastly stronger opponent was so much like the days of Roger Moore fighting with Teehee and Jaws on board the train. And actually, how the humour came across as well was very much like Roger Moore. There was so much Roger in there. Although there was one Sean Connery moment, I thought that, I don't know if you guys have actually missed this, but at the funeral, Sciarra's funeral, Bond turns round and he's wearing the sunglasses and he's got the suit and things, and Sciarra's men are just keeping an eye on him, and he just turns round, just waves, and it was just so much like something Sean Connery would do. That was great. Anyway, keep up the good work, and I absolutely love the podcast. I'm listening every day, so well done, guys.
Hi guys, James here. I've just come back from my third viewing of it, and I love it more with each viewing. But what I love about it is the visual, the sound, the music, the romantic aspect. I think it is a very romantic film, despite people are saying about the lack of chemistry. I think once again, I think the Leia Seydoux thing is wonderful, and I think the camera work around the travel and the evolution of the romance is a wonderful thing. I think the difficulty with the film, for me, and I think for many others, isn't just that twist, and yes, I know I've been picked up on how I view that. I apologise if I caused offence. Is a lack of clarity in tone and in objective. Skyfall, for all of its faults, in terms of being quite small scale, almost domestic, has a very clear objective. So does Casino Royale. Quantum and Spectre, the problem with them is that you've effectively got two or three mini movies together, welded, and the result is a kind of a blurred tone and a somewhat numbed ability to discern whether it's any good or not. But on the whole, with every viewing, it just gets more addictive, and that can only mean one thing: it's brilliant.
This is Darren Noble calling from Southampton, UK. Here are my 24 thoughts on Bond 24, Spectre. Great excitement at the title reveal and cast announcements, a perfectly pitched trailer and marketing campaign, a confusing first viewing that screamed missed opportunities, goosebumps and sweaty eyes at the return of the gun barrel, a hugely ambitious and memorable pre-title sequence, helicopter stunt work that blew my mind, a Sam Smith theme song that will become a classic, a Thomas Newman score that just does the job, all-round superb turns by the MI6 team, Ralph Fiennes with cracking dialogue, Ben Whishaw stealing scenes like Desmond used to, a beautiful but one-dimensional Monica Bellucci, a Spectre meeting that exceeded all expectations, a sexy new Spectre logo and ring, a fantastically executed snowplane action sequence, a secret room in a hotel, bizarre, a brutal and instantly classic train fight, a henchman that ticks all the boxes, subtle well-considered nods to previous Bond films, a torture scene that reveals a plot in need of fine-tuning, a hit-and-miss Christoph Waltz, cuckoo, Leia Seydoux, wow, I think I'm in love, Daniel Craig exuding supreme confidence in the role. Overall, 8 out of 10, a top 10 film that could have been and should have been top 3. Thank you, James Bond Radio, for holding my hand through it all. Please donate, people. Bye!
Hi guys, Alistair here, boxofficebites.com. Loving the podcasts, they're fantastic. Keep up the great work, guys. On to Spectre. In my mind, it's right up there. Daniel Craig's probably second next to Casino, which obviously is everybody's favourite. Absolutely loved it. The opening sequence, absolutely superb. The swagger as he dances around the hotel ledge is fantastic. It just shows you how confident Craig is now in the role. Other highlights for me is obviously the room meeting for Spectre, everybody in shadow, and the entrance of Mr. Hinks, absolutely superb. And then we're on to sort of the Austria sequence, which is good. I love the scene and love the bit that Q's could have come on to the scene, and his relationship with Craig's fantastic. Then you're on to the train scene, and obviously Mr. Hinks. What a fight. It's right up there, probably the best. Mr. Hinks has to return. So does Mendes, and hopefully Craig for at least one more. I love the bit they tied in the previous films. I feel they could have done more to tie that into Quantum, etc., Mr. White, but loved it. Last act, yes, there's a few dips there. They could have done more with Blofeld, but still loved it overall. But that's my view. And as one great man said, I want $1 million. Goodbye.
Hello, this is Jay Shelton, sending in from San Jose, California. Trying to do this quickly. Spectre, I've been looking forward to Spectre for a year. I was like the only one in MI6 community that liked the title. I've been a Bond fan since the 60s. I was really excited, and I can't tell you how much I disliked it that first viewing. Not that it's gotten much better. 90 seconds in time to get into everything. I could go into a lot of the details. Structurally, I just seem to be building homages, not much more underneath. If you're not excited by the homages, which are nice, but that's gravy, there really wasn't much to it. There wasn't much of a narrative. It was just a lot of hodgepodge. I didn't like that, maybe because they had these name stars. In fact, I'm sure that's what it was, that we had Team Bond. I call them Team Scooby, M. Moneypenny. What the hell? The other ones everywhere, following around. It got goofy. It was uncomfortable. But more than anything else, I have to say that I just didn't feel good watching it. I just felt like I didn't feel like I was enjoying myself from the get-go. Saw it again, worse. Third time, I decided I'd watch it the way I watched Moonraker the other day, block out the bad stuff. I did. I enjoyed it a little better. I guess I'm out of time. Bye.
Evening, JBL. Here's my review of Spectre, the short review of Spectre in a limerick. Blofeld is back on the hunt. Hinks removes eyes with a grunt. Classic Bond is a flirt. Swan lifts up a skirt. And C is a bit of a...
Hi guys, great show. Unfortunately, I'm in the minority who feel that Spectre was a major disappointment. I would have preferred an intelligent story of perhaps Spectre versus Quantum. But then again, I also would have been happy with a classic Bond where for once Craig doesn't go rogue and it's not personal. Unfortunately, instead we got a very poor classic Bond, which I think was let down by lazy script writing. Essentially, there was just too much tell and not enough show. In particular, we just don't see any Blofeld menace. In the story, his base is easily destroyed and he's so easily caught and maimed by Bond that there's nowhere else to go. And also, Spectre's meant to be this powerful organisation that's in the shadows and controlling everything, but Q can easily break down its structure on a laptop in a ski lift whilst being chased by henchmen. But for me, the ultimate sin was the ridiculous evil stepbrother plot. A storyline that's so ridiculous that even the filmmaker seemed to give up on it before the film finished. To me, this adds nothing to the story and actually reduces Blofeld to some minor bad guy with daddy issues. So although there are some great scenes in the film, such as the pre-title sequence, to me it's the biggest wasted opportunity since Diamonds Are Forever. Anyway, hopefully I can put it all right in the next one, and looking forward to hearing your comments.
Hi, I'm Nick Granvoyne. My expectations for Spectre were incredibly high. I hoped at last we would get the Bond film I've been waiting for from Daniel Craig, where he becomes the complete James Bond, kicking ass in the way that Connery did in Thunderball, Moore did in Spy, and Brosnan did in Tomorrow Never Dies. I also hoped we would get a great 21st century reworking of Spectre and Blofeld, and I also wanted to see a really good love story between Bond and the leading lady, like we have with Tracy and Vesper. And I have to say, for me, the film totally delivered. This is Craig's best Bond film. You have the best of Craig and you have the best of the formula. And for me, it delivers from start to finish and is right up there alongside On Her Majesty's Secret Service as a Bond film that delivers great action, has some kind of resonance around the leading lady, has a really great villain, has some real peril, and really delivers against everything. And, funnily for me, the final third, that final part, is actually for me the best part of the film. I think it's really exciting, that piece in London, and perfectly balances the pre-title sequence. I think this is a great time to be a Bond film. I can't wait to see the next one. I hope we get the Diamonds Are Forever revenge kind of approach story that we've been waiting for over 40 years. Absolutely loved it.
Hi there, this is long-term Bond fan Danny Cause. I only recently discovered James Bond Radio. I really love the 30 Days of Spectre. I've been enjoying this series a lot. My review of Spectre, I think it's a great Bond movie. It's by no means perfect. I think it may be the second best of Craig's tenure. I kind of agree with you. I think it'd be very, very difficult to beat Casino Royale, but there we go. I do think Spectre's better than Skyfall. I perhaps think Skyfall is better than Quantum Leap. Spectre, I think you're right, it does fall short a little bit in the third act. Up until then, it's brilliant. It's classic Bond. It's got a lot of feels of some classic Connery films. It's got a lot of sort of Thunderball and maybe even something like You Only Live Twice in it. And it's even, as you said, quite a lot of majesties about it as well. So it's just a fantastic Bond movie, I think. And I think it puts the series in a really good place. I'm now looking forward to the future Bond movies because I'm presuming it's going to be a nice story arc from here on out. So here's hoping that the next couple of films are going to be even better. That is the idea. And you may even hear what writings on the wall in the background as I'm currently doing my student radio show at university. And of course, the Bond music has to be thrown in as well. It was played quite a bit of Living Daylights. So many thanks, Chris and Tom. Big fans. Keep up the good work. Bye for now.
Hi, Tom and Chris. This is JBR listener Matthew Noble calling to give you my thoughts on Spectre. I don't quite consider myself a Spectre lover like yourselves, but I still really like the film a lot, and I've seen it twice now since it opened in cinemas. If I were to grade it, I'd probably give it 4 out of 5 stars, which is pretty solid. Going into specifics, the action is great, the casting is spot on, especially Christoph Waltz. The locations and cinematography I thought were both gorgeous, and tone-wise, I think they got the balance right between humour and seriousness. There are some minor issues I had here or there, but nothing that detracts from the overall movie in my opinion. In terms of how it compares to the other Daniel movies, my favourite is still Casino Royale. My least favourite is Quantum of Solace, even though I still really enjoy that movie. And Skyfall and Spectre are about on par, somewhere in the middle. And in terms of comparing Spectre to the rest of the series, I'm still a bit unsure, maybe top 10, top 11. I'll definitely have to give it some time to settle before I rank it properly. That's all from me. Thanks a lot, guys. You've truly outdone yourselves with the 30 Days of Spectre podcasts. I've enjoyed them all immensely, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do next. Well, that's all. Take care.
Hi, I'm Brian Dobson, and you're listening to James Bond Radio, because nobody does it better. You may remember me from JBR episode 85. Hi, this is my 90-second review of the 24th James Bond film, Spectre. Spectre is a rip-roaring roller coaster of a return to classic 007. From the return of the gun barrel to its rightful place, to the superb opening scene in Mexico City, the Day of the Dead sequence, this is up there with the series' finest, if not the finest. I absolutely love it. I must confess, I was a little bit disheartened with the title sequence and song. I didn't really care for either of them. However, when it comes to Bond girls, Monica Bellucci is simply stunning. Why on earth didn't she have a bigger role to play in this? Far too little screen time for me. On to the main protagonist himself, Mr. Daniel Craig, back for his 4th outing as 007, and I think he gives his best performance ever as James Bond. Very slick. The movie itself, once again, slick, it's funny, it's pacey. It features some really good Bondian moments, such as the train fight sequence, and also the Spectre meeting room. But I have a few bad points, such as the reveal of Blofeld was poor, not really dramatic enough. Exploding Blofeld's lair was far too easy, and I wasn't keen on the disappearing into the sunset in the DB5. However, overall, 8 out of 10 for me. Bond is back.
Hi guys, big fan of the show. For me, Spectre was kind of a middle of the road kind of Bond film. The problem for me was lots of cool build up, but then
they'd something would happen that would take me out, and it started right from the beginning and throughout the film. For example, the helicopter, there was like a man with a golden gun kind of sound effect, took me out. The titles, I love climbing, but when that octopus came on, it just pulled me out. Sam Smith as well, the opening song. As soon as he started singing, I was pulled, like, it just ruined it for me, because I love the track up until it starts. Mr. Hinks' car chase, I thought it was going to have this sort of Lazenby on the run vibe, like in that film, but then they have that Frank Sinatra stroke and it just pulls me out. The torture, that was an intense scene, but then as soon as afterwards, how it has like no effect on him and he can just shoot up the base afterwards, I was just Obenhauser himself as well, when they revealed the childhood, it sort of made me less invested in him as a villain. It just felt a bit sort of cheap. Hinks on the train, I was loving that sequence, and then they have that sort of thing at the end where he does the swan. It just felt really anticlimactic, and the pistol at the end, of course, as well, sort of took me out of the finale. But on the plus side, the MI6 regulars are great. Even Tanner got a nice little scene. And the costume design was really impressive, I felt. The film seemed to... If you've seen the film The Green Hornet, I couldn't get that out of my mind. Like, I had the pistol with the two barrels, and Christoph Waltz felt like he was playing the same character, but all in all, it was an okay film.
This is Agent Double OK from the United States. Long-time listener, first-time voicemailer, and this is my review of Spectre. Overall, I really enjoyed Spectre. I would say that I liked it, but I didn't love it. Some of my favorite scenes are the pre-title sequence, which I thought was just amazing. Also, the fight with Mr. Hinks on the train was outstanding. Madeline Swan is one of my favorite Bond girls. I just loved everything about her character, and I really hope she comes back in Bond 25. She was a definite highlight of Spectre for me. There were some things that I felt brought the film down a little bit for me, mostly related to the action sequences. I thought the snow chase scene and the car chase scene both lacked a sense of danger, and I wish they could have done a few little things there to kind of liven it up and make those a little more dangerous. The escape from the crater was also way too easy. I wish they had made that tougher for Bond to get out of there. And so those kinds of things just brought the film down a little bit for me. Overall, though, I really enjoyed it, but it will fall behind Skyfall and Casino Royale for me for the Craig movies. And for my overall Bond rankings, I would say it falls somewhere in the middle, probably in the 10 to 12 range. But I did enjoy it. Love the show, guys. Love what you're doing. Keep up the good work. And as they say, Bond will be back, and he lives to die another day. Bye, guys.
So this is Danny Hornigold for James Bond Radio, and let's get started with a review of Spectre. First of all, I want to disagree with Tommy. I thought it was not one of the best, it was the best opening sequence in James Bond history. Just the cinematography, the filmography, the colour, the music, the atmosphere, the energy was just unbelievable. And if I wasn't excited enough already, I could barely sit still after seeing that. The rest of the film would probably critique too much. I think that they probably tried to be too clever. They had plenty of time in which to do it in over 2 hours of a movie, but the moments of cleverness were too simple, and I can understand why people didn't enjoy them. And where I started off and gave the film a 9.5 when I left the cinema, I loved every minute of it. I totally understood the negative reviews, and I agree with the fact that those moments of backstories, they were too thin, and they also weren't necessary. They didn't add any depth to the film, so what was the point in having them? So I'll probably drop the film to a 7.5, but it's come back to an 8.5, and I think long term, not only will it stand the test of time, I think people will learn to love it in amongst the absolute best. But I think for me, my favourite part of watching the movie was the build-up with the JBR guys, just how excited they were, just really got me into it. And then the JBR lads and all the community saw it before I did. And so hearing Chris's puppy dog squeals and Tommy's masculine grunts of excitement got me 100% buzzed. And that was the moment for me.
Hello, Tom and Chris. This is Ron with a 90-second review. Now, I like Spectre a lot, but for me, it is not one of the all-time greats. The pre-credit sequence, true, that is gobsmackingly good. But what I look for in a Bond film are a series of those really thrilling, really imaginative action set pieces. Now in Spectre, the plane scene is pretty good, and the car chase in Rome is fine. But in terms of being truly unique and really imaginative and genuinely thrilling, for me there was nothing quite like, say, Timothy Dalton clinging onto the cargo netting in Daylights, or Pierce Brosnan driving the tank in GoldenEye, or Roger Moore jumping the boat over the roads in Live and Let Die. So, a pretty decent film, but not one of the all-time greats. Okay, cheers guys, bye-bye.
Hi guys, Gareth from Pembrokeshire here with my Spectre review. Well, I mostly enjoyed it, but I did have a few problems with it. For me, the Oberhauser whole brother thing didn't really work because I didn't really feel there was much of a connection between him and Bond, and I think it would have been much better if they'd just gone straight into him being Blofeld without all that. I thought the film was a little bit too long. I thought it dragged in a few places. I thought Monica Bellucci was especially wasted in a very throwaway part. And I thought the soundtrack was pretty indistinguishable from Skyfall, really. However, there were some great action scenes. The pre-title sequence is brilliant, and I really like Mr. Hinks, and I hope he's back for the next one. But apart from that, I thought it was okay. You know, it wasn't bad, but I am looking forward to seeing it again and just sort of seeing how it pans out. So that's my very quick review. Thanks, guys. The 30 Days of Spectre has been absolutely brilliant. And I'll speak to you again soon, hopefully. Bye.
Hi guys, this is James Crawford Clark. Great podcast as always. So here are my Spectre thoughts. Coming out of the cinema, I felt much the same way as I'd done with Skyfall 3 years earlier. This film is amazing. I loved it. Got goosebumps with the return of the gun barrel at the beginning. It's just fantastic. It's back where it needs to be. It's the best pre-credit sequence in the series, in my opinion. There's an excellent theme song from Sam Smith, and it works really well with the striking titles from Daniel Kleinman. And what I think is fantastic for the fans is there are so many brilliant nods back to the other 23 films in the franchise. For me, Madeline Swan is a terrific addition to the Bond girl pantheon, but it's Bautista's Hinks that really steals the show for me. He's just a menacing, fantastic henchman. So I've seen the film 4 times now. On closer inspection, it's not perfect. The finale's rushed, and Christoph Waltz seems a little wasted as Blofeld. He doesn't really have anything particularly menacing to do, which I think they'll improve on, hopefully, with Bond 25, despite the fact that Waltz is the perfect actor to play Bond's nemesis, as both of you have said before. The most surprising thing for me, though, was how brilliant Craig's become as Bond. His timing's superb here, and he gives, I think, his strongest performance to date of his 4 films. So overall, Spectre, loved it. Keep up the great work, guys.
Oh, I definitely enjoyed Spectre. I thought it was a solid effort. Out of 10, I'll definitely give it an 8 out of 10. And I look forward to the next installment. I hope that Craig stays on, at least for one. There's also danger of doing a Roger Moore and staying on too long, but let's hope he does stay in the role as long as he can and make solid Bond movies. What I liked about Spectre was it had all the classic Bond elements, but they were done all very, very well, from the car chase to the pre-title sequence. And I enjoy the opening credits. I think it's one of Daniel Kleinman's best, up there with GoldenEye. And I think Daniel Kleinman should stay on. They shouldn't use a company like MK2. I mean, we saw all what happened with Quantum of Solace. But besides that, Spectre was fabulous, and can't wait to see what they do next. The only thing I would say was missing was that emotional edge that Her Majesty's or Casino Royale had, but I think they can improve in that for the next installment.
So my thoughts on Spectre, thoroughly enjoyed the film. In fact, I thought that I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. And one of the reasons was because I actually preferred it quite a bit to Skyfall. I know that's quite a radical thing to say because Skyfall was regarded by many critics, and in fact a lot of people I know, as one of the best Bonds ever. Unfortunately, I didn't actually agree with that. I still find that the benchmark for the Daniel Craig films was set very much by Casino Royale, which, in my opinion, was one of the best Bond films ever. I do genuinely rank it up there with Goldfinger and Dr. No, even. So I just felt that Spectre was very much back to the kind of very Bondy feel. I thought that Christopher Waltz did a fantastic job, and it just felt on sort of on a grander scale, a good Bond film. I thought it was a really good Bond film. We had a bit of gadgetry in there which we'd lost, but that was understandable because of the origin story and all that. But I just thought it was back to a grandiose Bond feel. I think we can still do with a little bit more music, genuine Bond music, but yeah, it was nitpicking. I thought it was good. Thanks.
Hi boys, Jeff Glave from Vancouver and Station C here with my Spectre review. 2 words, brilliant film. Best Craig by far, and yes, that includes Casino and easily the top 5 of all 007 movies. Craig retains Fleming's literary grittiness that we've come to love, but the quips, one-liners, and small comedic moments that the films of the past delivered have been returned, which is awesome. Craig's performance was stellar. He now owns the role and plays it with determination. I love that great cars and gadgets are back as well. Fantastic pre-titles opening sequence, including that 4-minute take at the beginning with no cuts and that airborne action sequence. Wow, takes your breath away. We finally have a classic henchman in Mr. Hinks, and all the other performances, including Christoph Waltz as the villain, are perfect. The final minute of the movie literally made the audience in my showing clap and cheer. A film full of subtle nods for the hardcore fans. How about those Hildebrand rarities with lots to keep the casual viewer happy? 5 stars. Screw that. 10 stars.
So, what did you think about that then, Chris?
I'm actually going to finish this and listen to it all over again because I thought that was awesome. It's like you said before, it was great that we did get the range. I think overly, I'd say the majority were more towards the positive side, which is obviously pretty cool. But it was nice to get that range. And yeah, kudos to the amount of people that left us their thoughts and stuff. I thought
Absolutely, yeah, good stuff. Some of them, obviously, it was like a 90-second review was the sort of brief, because obviously that's the amount of time you get on SpeakPipe to actually leave a voicemail. But obviously there's a couple there that sounded like they were sort of cut off at the end. That wasn't us being rude and just cutting them off and being like, that enough. That was literally what we got because, they perhaps just didn't squeeze in enough time at the end there.
Should have talked faster, shouldn't you, eh?
Exactly, it's your own bloody fault. But yeah, a good mixture of opinions. Some good, some in the middle, some bad. It's a good snapshot of the people's thoughts on the movie, really. But there was a few points, obviously, that sort of crept up more than once. I know a few people said they felt that perhaps they should have chopped the MI6 sequence at the end and just had the climax all at Blofeld's base, which I suppose when you think about it, by the time, it's a 2.5 hour film or whatever, by the time you've reached Blofeld's crater base, you've had enough film by that point that you could have wrapped it up at that point, you know what I mean, and made the climax there. Obviously, there's the whole thing with the CNS building going online, but at the same time, I suppose you could have made it, so it would be like, well, how could you end it there? I suppose you could have made the crater base like some sort of communications relay nerve center that was the basis of that building or something. I don't know. Maybe, I'm sure you could have come up with something to make that the point. And then you could have had do you know what I'd have liked to have seen actually? What? Is like a proper old school thing where you have Blofeld's minions running around in like coloured uniforms, and then you've got all the MI6 crew or whatever coming, or well, not the MI6 crew, but you have like Bond's allies coming in a different colour overalls, and just this huge battle in the base, and Bond sort of existing within that. That would have been cool. I'd like to have seen that.
I definitely would have liked to have seen that. I think the only thing with that is M's whole thing about Bond's on his own. Otherwise, he, because that screws him up. But I think that I really like that idea because that whole bit. Once he escapes onwards, we still don't know quite what is behind that. Whether it's straight, whether it's not. All this sort of stuff. But if that didn't happen, we could still cut back to London with the MI6 crew, see what was going on with them. You could have still had the scene with M and Q and C and the whole CNS building and that stuff going on, but also interlink that with Bond and Swan in the crater base. Imagine if they had, they could potentially have had that solar furnace idea I don't know if having that and the torture scene would have been too much, maybe, but I think that could have easily have been expanded for another, 10 minutes of stuff going on there. And I like that idea of it being sort of this central sort of, almost like you said, sort of nerve center of all this information and stuff. So I would have been game for that, definitely.
I think, I suppose that what you could have done with the whole Nine Eyes thing is, because you had all those different countries coming together, that you could have had the nerve center of all the 9 different nations, and that would be like the crossover point in the creator base where they all met. Maybe that's an idea. Because do you know what? We haven't had one of those classic sort of climax battles in donkey's years, man. And I would have loved to have seen that.
Would you have liked to see them all in like ninja suits walk up to the top of the crater?
I would have loved to have seen that. And one thing that I feel is a massive missed opportunity is that there was no monorail in Blofeld's crater base, because that would have just that would have been the cherry on. You could have kept the whole climax, shooting down a helicopter with a pistol. You could have kept all of that. I think all the people who don't like this film, if they'd have had the monorail in the base, I think they'd have been like, do you know what? It's fine now. Actually, I don't mind. we've got a monorail sorted.
Maybe Bond 25 or even perhaps Bond 26 if we get Blofeld back, and he's this won't be the only Blofeld, the only Spectre base. There's bound to be loads. How big an organisation it is. Maybe the next one he does have a monorail. I hope he does. I really do, because I just want to see that.
Absolutely,
that'd be great.
So that rounds up our Spectre coverage. I think some people said that they really liked the idea of the 90-second reviews, and wanted us to do it for our other film reviews as we're going back through the back catalogue. So I'm sure that'll be something we do in future as we review the films. We'll do a 90-second review episode as well, because that would be cool. Getting everybody's opinion on it as well, and all that kind of stuff. So thanks for sticking with us through the 30 Days of Spectre. I think the whole experience of a new Bond film has been drastically different this time around for both of us, because James Bond Radio is around, which it wasn't a thing, when Skyfall was around. It was before. It was, it was just a twinkle in our eyes, not even in those days.
I know, crazy. It would have been you and I doing a similar thing, but maybe 3 times in a month as opposed to 30, with no one else sort of there to give their thoughts. Completely different. And I think obviously, from the fact that we're doing this, the analysis has just gone into it even like way more than perhaps we might have done, or maybe not, I don't know. But in terms of the discussion and the debates and everything, that it's really opened the door to that, I think, which is really interesting. But I also think there is a line between getting the film, watching it for the first time, your initial thoughts, dissecting the film in real detail, which is what we're doing, which is all not an art, but in terms of what you're doing is you're analysing certain aspects to see what you like and what you don't like. But I think after that point, which for me and you is now, I think the best thing to do is just leave that analysis aside for a while and just take a little break and then watch it just purely for the entertainment. Just not think about the or the little minutiae. It's like, right, how does it feel just to let it
do you know what I think that's ultimately what it boils down to for me, is the emotional response you get from it. Doesn't matter how technically good or bad it is. Here's a good analogy, for example, right? In the days when I was at music school studying the guitar and all that kind of business, there were guitar players who were super technical and amazing, have this amazing ability, could fly up and down the neck of the guitar and were just incredible, right? And then you had people at the other end who were kind of quite sloppy and sort of noisy, but just had a bit of soul behind them, and there was just something cool about that.
Where were you? Were you in the middle or one side?
Definitely towards the sloppy side, without a shadow of a doubt. And I feel like you can have a film that sort of hits all these technical boxes to make it the perfect film. You can have a film that, on the total opposite side of that, like an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, for example, some of them are just utterly ridiculous, but for whatever reason, you just fucking love them. Do you know what I mean?
It's entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying that's Spectre by any stretch of the imagination, but like, I feel like you can get so caught up in that technical side of things. Well, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that you just forget what it's meant to do, which is entertain you. And I think that's ultimately how I judge a movie. Just do I have a smile on my face at the end of it? Am I like, yes, I enjoyed that? it's a black and white yes or no. Yes, I did, or no, I didn't. And I think that's ultimately how you have to look at any of the Bond movies. There's so many that you could just pick apart. Diamonds Are Forever is a key one. A lot of people criticize, but I watched that movie and I still have a massive smile on my face. And there's still some proper classic stuff about that. And yeah, it is what it is. And I think for me with Spectre, I think once it doesn't have the pressure of being the new film, then I'm hard pressed to think of any film that has been sort of racked with this amount of scrutiny from people. Any film, and I think once it's settled down a little bit and people have sort of got some distance from it, they can revisit it and maybe got over the fact that they don't like the brother thing, then they can sort of start to enjoy it a bit more, and I'm firmly in the camp that I absolutely adore this film. I'm going to see it for the 6th time on Tuesday. I'm geared up for it. I'm very excited. And it's every time I see it, I love it more. Of course it has its problems with things, but why focus on that? Why be like, well, it was a bit easy for him to escape, so therefore I don't like the film. What's that about? For me, that's just sort of missing the point.
You can do that for any single Bond film. I know,
totally.
Like Casino Royale, obviously, it doesn't have a lot wrong with it, but you could still pick that apart for certain scenes. Goldfinger, you could pick apart. You could pick apart any Bond film.
Yeah.
But if you want to have that life where all you do is pick apart stuff and you don't enjoy it,
then what's
I
the point?
For those people,
Totally, completely. So for me, after seeing Spectre 5 times, sort of picking it all apart and going through it with the 30 Days of Spectre, I'm so over the moon with this film. I love it. I'm totally happy with it. Totally in the right direction for me. I love it.
Are you looking forward to watching it, knowing that the 30 days is over? Almost like you don't have to worry about any sort of review or any bit about it. Just you can sit back and just enjoy it.
Yeah, I am a bit actually. Yeah. I watched the first 2 viewings. I was like, do you know what? I'm not going to start taking notes or any of that stuff. The first 2 viewings, I was like, I'm just going to sit back and watch it and take it in for what it is.
If you'd started taking notes at the Royal Albert Hall, I would have been like, what are you doing?
It wasn't until the 3rd one where I was like actively trying to sort of think of things to sort of talk about on JBR and stuff. But yeah, how about you? What's your sort of round-up thoughts then?
Well, I mean, I'm still really, really enjoy it. I obviously, when you, like we're saying, you analyse something, you can pick it apart, and obviously we've done that. There are certain things which we'd definitely change, but there are films in, there are bits in every film that you change and you tweak and you do this and the other. Every Bond film, at least, anyway. But the main emotion I got out of it was cracking film. Really enjoyed it. Good fun. Like you said, I came out with a smile on my face. That is never going to change watching Spectre. Every time I watch it, I'm going to get that smile, and I'm really looking forward to watching it for my next time. I think I might even go tomorrow or later on this evening, perhaps. And I can't wait just to feed me, just beam your beams onto me. I'm really looking forward, man. And I think it'll be one that 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, you'll stick it on and it'll be a great watch. It will be a great watch. And I do think, I hope there are some of those people out there which, okay, you might not like the film and that's fine, but perhaps with a bit of distance, you could just sit down and appreciate the certain parts which, of that film that entertainment, and it's
at the end of the day, everyone's entitled to their opinion. It's a perfectly valid opinion, whether you like the film, whether you didn't like it, but if you're one of the people that didn't like it, just know that you deep down you're just bad people, and you just need to look at yourself in the mirror and just think about how you're living your lives and just fuck your ideas up at the end of the day.
I'm staying out of this. Diplomatic immunity over here.
I am, of course, teasing. Well, not really, but yeah, I am, of course, teasing. But yeah, at the end of the day, it was for me. It was a bloody good movie. You're always going to get a range of opinions, no matter what you do. So it's been good sharing it with the JBR family and all that kind of stuff. Now, as for us, we're going to have a little break. We're getting in our DB5 with Madeline Swan between us, and we're driving off into the moonset. And we're going to have a little bit of time off. So what we're going to do is this: we're going to come back on Boxing Day for the big Boxing Day quiz, as per usual. That's going to be like the yearly tradition. So if you weren't around last year, so basically Boxing Day for non-English people is the day after Christmas Day. And we do
St.
a big
Stephen's Day in Ireland.
Is that what it is? Yes, and we come back for a big old quiz, Bond quiz, and some jovial, festive fun.
Are we going to be pissed when we do it?
Maybe,
Should
yeah.
we have some sherry or something?
It would be rude not to, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Eggnog or something like that.
So we'll be back for that so that's sort of just 3 weeks and a bit, I suppose, and then we'll be back sometime in January. We're not sure exactly what date we'll be back yet, because we both
You're away for a bit and I'm away for a bit.
I'm away for a bit, you're away for a bit, so it'll be sometime in January. Not sure when it was. In all likelihood, it'll probably be sometime in the second half of the month. So we're having a bit of a break, but you've got tons of JBR to listen to, loads of back catalogue. If you miss us, you can just go back to the very beginning and start all over again, can't you? And then by the time we get back, you'll have done a second pass through.
There we are, which is always good. And do you think now we've done the 30 days of Spectre, in 2 or 3 years' time, are we going to be doing the 30 days of Shame Lady or whatever it might be? I think that's something we could potentially look
to be honest,
at,
I think it would be rude not to, wouldn't it, at the end of the day? Yeah.
Definitely. So how has your feelings been about doing the whole 30 days? You enjoyed it? It's been
to be honest, it's one of those things where when a new Bond film comes out, all I want to do is talk about it anyway. So I thought to myself, doing 30 days would be something that A, gets that out of my system a little bit, and B, would just be fun and a bit of a challenge to see if we could actually make it. So we did in the end, which is pretty cool.
You know what I'm looking forward to as well?
Go on.
When we come back in January, guess the quote round. Guess the music cue.
Yeah.
And all those bad boys. Celebrity Deathmatch will nearly be over and we've got a new thing to replace that. Complete the lyric. I think we're going to mix it up a bit with something. So obviously Bond trivia, Bond facts, flames, explosion, fire.
Good God, I'd even forgot those existed. It's been a long time.
I know.
Yeah.
It seems like a year ago we did that. So I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to getting back to classic JBR in January.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We've got some good interviews lined up already, haven't we?
We certainly do.
Obviously, we've got getting back to the movie reviews. We're obviously going to do the episodes about certain aspects of Bond, and it won't be long until our 2nd year anniversary either. So we'll have to do something good for that as well.
Absolutely, the long-awaited nude podcast, maybe. But there we go. Yeah, absolutely. So we've got plenty to look forward to. Obviously, this year of 2015 was the year of Sir Roger, and little did we know that the year of Sir Roger will now be the year and a half of Sir Roger, at least, really.
Yeah.
So it's going to be good to get back to Rog, because we got up to Moonraker and we've got to go For Your Eyes Only onwards now. So we've got some classic Rog to get through as well.
Looking forward to that, definitely.
Yeah, big time. All right, mate. Well, you going to be all right? You going to be all right for the next few weeks?
I've recovered a little bit now. I think talking to you has helped. As soon as we turn this off, I might have a little cry for a little bit, and then I think I'll probably be all right. I think I'll speak to my mum.
Yeah.
I'll get her on Skype and just say, just feel the love, and hopefully that will help.
Very nice.
But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to a little break, but I also will be amping to get back in.
Very nice.
Obviously the quiz and in the new year as well, for sure.
Well, remember when when Robbie left Take That, there was actually a helpline set up, wasn't there, to help young fans who were struggling to deal with the change. So
is that what we're going to do?
I think we might have to. Yeah, just phone them up. And be like, ah! But yeah,
we'll link it to Eon House and then
yeah, Barbara. Anyway, cool stuff. So we will be seeing you again on December 26th for the big Bond Boxing Day quiz, and then after that we'll see you sometime in January. So thank you for joining us throughout the 30 Days of Spectre, whether you liked the film, whether you didn't like it, whether you were somewhere in the middle, and it's been a pleasure bonding with you all this time. And of course, when Bond 25 rolls around, I'm sure we'll be doing the same thing. Might even be 60 days of Bond 25 or whatever it is by that point. But who knows? Yeah. But there we go. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Take it easy.
Have a great Christmas, everyone, and we'll see you on Boxing Day.
Bye.